And we were just talking about the throne speech from yesterday. Very historic. Prince Charles, as a matter of fact, made big headlines, particularly right at the end of the speech with this line. Take a look.
Today, with feelings of profound sorrow. Throughout her life, Her Majesty the Queen.
The cameras were rolling, the public watching, when a strange tension quietly unfolded between King Charles and Queen Camilla. In a moment, caught on camera, Charles seemed distant, his expression tight, his tone clipped. He didn't raise his voice, but his cold silence spoke volumes. As Camilla tried to engage, he subtly pulled away, ignoring her presence with a quiet intensity that left onlookers uncomfortable. So what could have sparked such a frosty moment? And why did Charles choose this very public stage to shut her out? Stay tuned, because things only get stranger from here. A parade like no other. Every year, Trooping the Color dazzles with pageantry, precision, and royal pride. A celebration of the monarch's official birthday that never fails to impress.
The victims of that crash are being honored this morning in the UK during the annual celebration of the King's birthday, known as Trooping the Color.
But this year's event? Something felt off. While the surface glittered with all the usual regalia, guards in scarlet tunics, the rhythmic beat of drums echoing across the mall, and Union Jacks fluttering in the summer breeze, keen observers noticed that the atmosphere carried a strange, almost uncomfortable energy. From the moment the carriages rolled out, speculation began to stir. King Charles III, usually stoic but composed, seemed unusually tight-lipped. His posture was rigid, his expression unreadable. Seated beside him, Queen Camilla smiled, but even that smile felt forced, polished for the cameras but lacking warmth. The two barely exchanged glances, and when they did, there was no mistaking the tension in their body language. Was it nerves, fatigue, or something more? As the procession moved along the mall toward Buckingham Palace, some royal watchers couldn't help but notice that Camilla appeared momentarily distracted, even hesitant at times. She adjusted her hat more than once and whispered something to a nearby aide. Meanwhile, Charles remained almost motionless, jaw clenched, seemingly preoccupied with something that had little to do with waving at the crowd. By the time the royal family ascended to the palace balcony for the traditional RAF flypast, the air felt thick. Every camera lens, every reporter, every smartphone in the crowd focused on the royal family's every move. And while the jets thundered overhead and the crowd roared, the interaction between Charles and Camilla grew even harder to ignore. Observers caught brief moments that raised eyebrows. Charles turning slightly away from Camilla as she leaned in, Camilla flinching subtly as Charles gestured with what seemed like mild irritation. Of course, there were no microphones to confirm what, if anything, was said. But the moment didn't go unnoticed. Even commentators on live broadcasts tiptoed around the subject. "Perhaps the king is just overwhelmed by the gravity of the day," one said. Another added, "It's possible we're reading too much into natural stress and protocol fatigue." And yet, social media was already buzzing with speculation. Screenshots were being compared. Slow-motion replays analyzed every facial twitch. Whatever truly happened behind those formal expressions, it was clear that this year's Trooping the Color left more questions than answers.
Across the pond, a royal celebration in London. The annual Trooping the Color, marking King Charles' official birthday. The king riding in a carriage with Queen Camilla instead of on horseback.
Was this just a strained moment caught on camera, or the visible tip of a much deeper iceberg within the royal household? As the crowds dispersed and the family retreated behind the palace doors, the event ended in tradition. But beneath the pomp and circumstance, something had undeniably shifted, and what happened next would push that speculation into a full-blown storm. The moment caught on camera. The royal family has long been trained in the art of keeping their emotions in check, especially in public. but even the firmest facades sometimes crack. And on that bright afternoon during Trooping the Colour, something cracked on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The moment came quickly, barely lasting more than a few seconds, but to those watching closely, it was unmistakable. As the final wave of RAF jets thundered overhead, the family was gathered in their usual formation. King Charles and Queen Camilla front and center, flanked by Prince William, Princess Kate, and their children. At first glance, it seemed like any other year. But then, a brief, sharp interaction between Charles and Camilla unfolded right in front of the cameras, and millions were watching. In the grainy, zoomed-in footage circulating online, Charles is seen leaning toward Camilla with a furrowed brow and a barely concealed scowl. His lips move quickly, too quickly for the microphones to catch. But lip readers and body language experts have since dissected every frame. Some claim he said, "You're out of place," again, while others insist it was something harsher, like, "You've embarrassed yourself." Camilla appears taken aback. She glances at him briefly, then straightens her posture and turns her gaze back toward the crowd, her jaw tight. It didn't look like a slip or a misunderstanding. It looked personal. What triggered the king's reaction? Some speculate Camilla may have stepped slightly out of her assigned position, disrupting the carefully choreographed arrangement. Others think it had less to do with protocol and more to do with simmering tensions that had been building privately. Was it a culmination of behind-the-scenes disagreements? A last straw moment during an already stressful day? Regardless of the cause, the footage went viral almost instantly. Within minutes of the royal family retreating from the balcony, Twitter and TikTok were flooded with side-by-side breakdowns of the interaction. "Did King Charles just snap at Camilla on live TV?" read one caption. "Charles loses it, caught in 4K," declared another. Even body language analysts began weighing in, pointing to the clenched fists, the micro-expressions, and the visibly awkward energy that lingered after the exchange. What made the moment so jarring wasn't just what happened, but who it involved. For years, the public narrative around Charles and Camilla has centered on unity, resilience, and redemption. After all the controversy, after the long and scandalous road to acceptance, they were meant to be the unshakable royal pair. Yet here was Charles, in his most visible role as monarch.
Well, millions of people in the UK and around the globe are preparing to witness the coronation of King Charles III. Saturday's largely symbolic ceremony will be full of pageantry, with customs dating back more than 1,000 years.
Visibly losing his composure with the very woman he had fought so long to legitimize as queen. As the footage continued to circulate, royal watchers couldn't help but question the dynamic at play. Was this just a one-off, heat-of-the-moment snap? Or had they caught a glimpse of a deeper, more troubled reality? One carefully kept behind palace doors? One thing was certain: the king's tone, the queen's reaction, and the public's response had already set the stage for a narrative the palace would struggle to control. And behind the velvet curtains of Buckingham Palace, that conversation was far from over. And as King Charles's outburst spreads online, why did Queen Camilla suddenly vanish without a word? Stay tuned to uncover the truth. Camilla's reaction behind closed doors. As the footage of King Charles's sharp exchange with Camilla continues to dominate social media, one royal figure goes conspicuously silent: Queen Camilla herself. Normally poised and quick to appear unbothered by online chatter, Camilla vanishes from the public eye for over 24 hours following the incident. Her absence sparks even more speculation. Where is she? And more importantly, how is she really doing? Insiders whisper that Camilla was deeply humiliated by what happened on the palace balcony. According to sources close to the royal household, the Queen Consort had no idea that Charles's frustration would boil over in such a public setting, especially on a day as symbolic and nationally significant as trooping the color. That brief, sharp remark from the king may have only lasted seconds, but for Camilla, it cut deep. Back inside the palace, the mood reportedly turned icy. What began as an opulent day of royal celebration quickly shifted into damage control and emotional fallout. Staffers observed that Camilla, still in full regalia, retreated immediately to her private chambers and instructed aides not to disturb her. The Queen was described as visibly shaken and not in the mood to speak to anyone, not even to senior staffers she typically confides in. Later that evening, away from cameras and public scrutiny, Camilla confronted Charles. Multiple palace sources claim the conversation was anything but calm. One insider described raised voices coming from the king's private study. Voices that hadn't been heard at that volume in quite some time. Camilla, known for her strong composure and ironclad patience, is believed to have demanded clarity from her husband. "Did you mean to embarrass me in front of the entire world?" she allegedly asked. Charles, reportedly still under pressure from the day's events, tried to deflect the conversation, citing stress, fatigue, and his own frustrations with how the procession had unfolded. But Camilla wasn't convinced. According to those close to her, she felt the king had crossed a line, not just as a husband, but as a monarch expected to uphold dignity and discretion. For the first time in their marriage since Charles ascended the throne, the relationship now appeared visibly strained. Some staffers described the couple as not speaking for hours after the argument. Camilla, in a quiet but unmistakable move, canceled 2 scheduled appearances over the next few days: a garden party and a private charity reception. Her decision raised eyebrows, especially given how fiercely she's defended her role and public image in recent years.
Queen Camilla has returned to royal duties after suffering a chest infection. The illness meant she was unable to attend Remembrance Day events.
While the public only saw the clipped exchange on the balcony, what unfolded behind palace walls tells a deeper, far more personal story. A woman caught between duty and dignity. A monarch battling the weight of expectation and private emotion. And a marriage once seen as unshakable, now suddenly vulnerable. Whether this was just a passing storm or the start of deeper fractures remains unclear. But one thing is certain: the cameras may have stopped rolling, but the real drama had only just begun. Royal damage control begins. With headlines swirling and social media ablaze, the palace wastes no time shifting into crisis mode. But in true royal fashion, the strategy isn't loud or direct. It's subtle, strategic, and carefully choreographed. No official statement is released. Instead, the damage control begins quietly, through the usual network of trusted insiders, friendly columnists, and tabloid whispers. Almost overnight, alternative explanations start surfacing in royal circles. One narrative suggests that King Charles was simply exhausted from the intense ceremonial schedule. Another insists there was a minor hearing miscommunication, that what appeared to be a stern exchange was actually Charles mishearing a comment from Camilla and responding out of confusion. Then comes the minor family spat theory, published by a royal-friendly outlet known for towing the palace line. The piece paints a warmer picture. Charles and Camilla had a tiny disagreement, the sort any married couple might have, and reportedly laughed it off later that evening. The headline, "Nothing to see here. King and Queen brush off balcony moment." It reads more like a pre-approved script than independent journalism. The effort is clear: reshape the narrative before it spirals further out of control. Behind the scenes, however, the atmosphere is far from calm. Palace aides are said to be scrambling, not only to keep the story from escalating but also to manage the tension between Charles and Camilla themselves. One insider describes the mood in the royal household as delicately tense. Another hints that even senior staff have been warned not to speculate internally about the incident. Meanwhile, long-standing royal biographers and PR advisors are being consulted on how to redirect public focus. There's talk of organizing a staged appearance where Charles and Camilla look cheerful and united, perhaps at a charity event or during a walkabout. Anything to reassure the public and the press that the monarchy is stable and intact. But the problem is, the footage doesn't lie. No matter how the palace tries to spin it, the moment was captured clearly and widely. And as social media users continue to dissect the clip frame by frame, no amount of careful wording or photo ops seems to be fully convincing the public. Behind the scenes, the royals are working overtime to push the narrative back under control. But for once, the palace curtain is failing to hide the mess behind it. And no matter how the palace spins it, why can't any statement quell the online fury? Stay tuned to find out. Social media erupts. If the palace thought a few friendly headlines and vague explanations would calm things down, they miscalculated badly. Because while traditional media outlets tread carefully, the internet explodes. Within hours of the clip surfacing, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram became battlegrounds of royal commentary. Influencers, armchair analysts, and royal gossip channels all latch onto the footage. Slowed-down clips, lip-reading breakdowns, and body language analyses begin circulating at lightning speed. Some users overlay dramatic music, others zoom in and highlight Camilla's flinch or Charles's clenched jaw. Suddenly, a 2-second moment has become a full-blown digital storm. The hashtags take off almost immediately. Hashtag Charles Meltdown trends in the UK. Hashtag Camilla deserved. Better shoots to the top of global discussions. Hashtag Not My Queen and hashtag King Unfit follow closely. But so do more critical and even cynical tags. Hashtag Camilla Karma, hashtag Diana Was Right, and hashtag You Reap What You Sow. It's not just royal watchers chiming in. Celebrities, talk show hosts, even political commentators weigh in. One late-night host jokes, "When even the king's done pretending everything's fine." Another quips, "Charles just said what every Diana fan has been thinking for years." And then there's the meme avalanche. Screenshots of Charles mid-snap are paired with captions like, "When your sidekick forgets who the main character is," while Camilla's stunned expression gets memified as, "When you thought you were untouchable." The moment becomes digital gold for comedy, critique, and conspiracy alike. Yet beneath the humor lies a deeply divided public reaction. Support for Camilla pours in from loyal fans and royal reformists. "No woman deserves to be spoken to like that," one user tweets. Another writes, "Camilla stood by him through scandal and loss. If this is how she's treated, something's wrong at the top." Some even go so far as to draw comparisons to Charles's past behavior toward Princess Diana, hinting at a pattern. But not everyone is sympathetic. A significant portion of the internet fires back with scathing criticism. "Camilla pushed too far," says one post. "She's always wanted more power, and maybe Charles finally snapped." Others accuse her of trying to control the king, suggesting that this was less a random outburst and more a breaking point in a power struggle long brewing behind palace walls. Then come the neutral voices, those who aren't picking sides but rather questioning the institution itself. "It's not about Charles or Camilla," one user argues. "It's about how outdated this whole monarchy thing is." Another comment, "If this is how they behave in public, imagine what's happening in private. Maybe it's time to rethink the whole system." The digital echo chamber grows louder by the hour. Royal commentators try to insert reason into the debate, cautioning against wild assumptions, but they're drowned out by reaction videos, TikTok theorists, and viral opinion threads. In one widely shared post, a TikToker says, "This is more than drama. This is a crack in the royal illusion." For the palace, the situation is spiraling beyond their grasp. Even the most carefully crafted royal statements collapse under the relentless pace of social media, where every glance, pause, and exchange is picked apart and given new meaning. The internet isn't just reporting on the moment, it's rewriting it in real time, feeding a narrative the palace can no longer contain. And as the online storm intensifies, one unsettling question refuses to fade. If a single subtle moment can ignite this much backlash, what does that say about the public's faith in the monarchy and in the individuals who now carry its weight? Stay with us to find out. A shaky future for the crown. The British monarchy has weathered explosive headlines, bitter family feuds, and waves of public doubt, but insiders suggest this moment feels different. The recent viral tension between King Charles and Queen Camilla isn't being dismissed as a harmless domestic hiccup. Instead, many see it as a rare glimpse into a deeper fracture within the crown itself. Behind palace walls, the whispers grow louder. Some question whether the king's health and the pressure of the throne are beginning to take their toll. Is the burden proving too much, too soon? Others look toward Camilla, often praised for her calm under pressure, and quietly wonder how long she can continue to present a united front if private tensions continue to simmer just beneath the surface. Public trust, already fragile post-Diana, post-Megxit, and amid growing calls for monarchy reform, is faltering again. This single moment, played out in front of a global audience, is now threatening to undo years of carefully managed PR. Wasn't the whole point of Charles and Camilla's united image to represent a modern, mature monarchy? If even that is showing signs of collapse, what else might be hidden behind palace walls? Some royal aides are reportedly concerned that this isn't just a scandal. It's a symptom of long-festering tensions, unspoken rivalries, and a royal family walking a tightrope between tradition and public expectation. With Prince William and Princess Kate increasingly seen as the monarchy's future, many wonder whether Charles and Camilla are becoming liabilities. Is the crown entering a new era, or quietly stumbling toward irrelevance? As the palace attempts to move forward, a single question lingers in the air. Not just about what happened that day on the balcony, but about what lies ahead for Charles, for Camilla, and for a monarchy that suddenly feels more fragile than ever. The answer lies in William and Kate. In the wake of the king's public outburst and Camilla's quiet retreat, one truth has become increasingly clear. The future of the monarchy may no longer rest in the hands of Charles and Camilla. As the royal family scrambles to repair its fractured image, eyes across the nation and around the world have shifted elsewhere. To the couple who, without even speaking, seem to embody everything the monarchy is trying so hard to protect: William and Kate. Where Charles and Camilla now appear strained and out of touch, William and Kate have become symbols of steadiness, warmth, and modern grace. They're not just heirs, they're a brand, carefully cultivated, deeply strategic, and, most importantly, widely adored. In public, they offer unity. In private, insiders say they're a partnership built on respect and shared purpose. The contrast couldn't be more stark, and that's exactly why royal supporters believe they're the solution. In the days following the incident, it wasn't Charles or Camilla that the public looked to for reassurance. It was William and Kate. Their calm presence at public engagements, their subtle but meaningful gestures of support for one another, and their unwavering composure provided a counterbalance to the storm surrounding the king and queen. It's no coincidence that photos of the couple with their children began circulating again. Reminders of stability, continuity, and a future not yet tainted by scandal. Some royal commentators suggest that this is not merely the public's desire, it's the palace's quiet plan. Let Charles weather the storm, let Camilla fade into the background, and let William and Kate rise, slowly but undeniably, as the monarchy's last best hope. Because when tradition falters, perception is everything, and in a world that's losing faith in the old guard, William and Kate offer something the monarchy desperately needs: a sense of renewal, relatability, and restraint. As the royal drama unfolds, all eyes are on William and Kate. Will they be the ones to save the monarchy or inherit its troubles? The future of the crown may rest in their hands. In short, when the crown feels shaky, it's the Cambridges who steady it. But what do you think? Are William and Kate truly the answer to the royal crisis, or just another illusion of stability? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.